I got a message that a Themberchaud deck somehow went 3-0 in a cEDH tournament. There ain't no way that Fat Dragon could do that. So what we're going to be doing today is we're actually going to be taking a look at the list together. And instead of doing a deep dive into the strategy like usual, I think we should all experience this list for the first time together. So let's just take a look at what
Themberchaud! He must have found a new den. Did he eat the last one?
could do and how this person built this deck list. Let's see. The deck's called Fat Dragon, and it's by Tim Nook, of course, you know, capitalist Tim Nook. So what does actually Themberchaud do? It's a 7 mana dragon, 5/5 trample. When it ETBs, he deals X damage to each other creature without flying, and each player, where X is the number of mountains you control. And then you can also exert Themberchaud as he attacks, and when you do, he gains flying until end of turn because he's so fat, can't even fly when he attacks. You have to exert him to do that. Let's think what could possibly happen here. So first of all, if you actually use Themberchaud to win the game, and I think this deck does, good job. You're the best designer ever. From here, I'm assuming that we're going to be looking at how we can use the ETB to deal a lot of damage to the opponent, and also under a stacks board, 5/5 flyer trample is pretty good. As we know, stacks loses to EDHREC.deck, and I think this is EDHREC.deck. I think this is a 7 that is beating 10s. So let's take a look. I already see there's 3 Planeswalkers. All right. So let's try and guess what this deck is doing as we look at them. And first, we see there's 3 Planeswalkers, of course. Of course there's 3 Planeswalkers. It's cEDH. Why aren't you playing Planeswalkers? Okay. Koth untaps a mountain, adds red to your mana pool for each mountain you control. Okay, so the first thing I assume we're going to be doing here is we're going to be accumulating a lot of mountains, which, red is known to do, right? As the ramp color, not like green. Because the ETB deals damage equals number of mountains you control, I assume we're going to be trying to do that a lot. And Koth here is just a 4 mana ritual to help you play Themberchaud and probably the other big spells. Also, maybe this person really likes Koth. Who am I to say, right? It went 3-0 and I don't, so what do I know? I think this is a mana positive ritual. If you have 5 lands and you play this for 4, you can go up 1 or more, Koth fire resistance. So search your library for basic mountain, reveal and put your hand. Okay, cool. Deals damage to target creature equal to number of mountains you control, and then an emblem that we're not even gonna read. And then Sarkhan the Masterless. This is actually one of my favorite cards ever. Whenever a creature attacks you or a planeswalker you control, each dragon deals 1 damage to that creature, okay? Until end of turn, each planeswalker you control becomes a 4/4 dragon and gains flying, and then you can make a dragon. Oh god. Okay. This has to have a dragon theme, maybe? Cause I don't think you're playing Sarkhan to turn on the 2 costs into dragons for 5 mana. There has to be some sort of thing happening with Sarkhan. Maybe it's protecting you when people attack you. Sarkhan just stops people from attacking you, or the planeswalkers you control because you have so many dragons. We're about to get a creature, so let's see what happens. Let's see what this. We're only 3 cards in, and I'm happy. I think we could just stop the video right here. I think this is the best deck ever. Also, I want to be very, very clear. I think this is awesome. I think it's very cool that decks like these could I don't know, do well in a competitive environment. I think there's probably people who are oh, this is parasitic or whatever. I don't even know what pods it played into. If you can win cEDH with Themberchaud and 3 planeswalkers here, you're better than most players. So I don't want people to think I'm being mean to this deck list. I think this is awesome. I'm already having such a good time. Okay. Akum Hellkite. There you go. First dragon that's not the commander. There has to be a dragon sub-theme. This is neat, I guess, because there's a landfall trigger. It deals 1 damage to target creature. If a player, if it's a mountain, you shock them. Okay, 5 mana. Let's see what happens. Here's an anger. Okay, I assume there's a faithless looting here. This is just to make sure that our creatures can attack as soon as possible. Okay, Bergie makes sense. See, Birgie's like interesting because so far with the cards we've seen, all the cards are kind of big. So unless like the instants and the artifacts and everything else like later in the deck actually like lets you net a lot of mana, I don't know if Birgie's actually going to give us that much back. I actually think the backside might be a lot better here because we're like ramping up to be playing big spells. So I assume that there might be some turns where you just want to like discard a card, see 2 cards, and like play a big Planeswalker or Dragon. Maybe? Okay. Well, Garden Hellkite. It's so easy to cast. It's 8 mana. Flash, we know what Hellkite does. ETB deals 5 damage divided among any number of creatures or players. Cool. So there has to be a dragon. And here we go. Here's a little bit of a clue. There's a Brash Taunter. Brash Taunter, indestructible. When it's dealt damage, it deals that much damage to target opponent. And it can also fight. So that's kind of neat because I think here what we're trying to do is set up Brash Taunter and then play Themberchaud. And Themberchaud just like deals at least, I don't know, 5 to 7 damage onto each creature. Brash Taunter then deals another 5 and also to a player, so that's about like 10 to 14 damage off the bat, which is like pretty like realistic, I guess, or like a sizable amount of damage because cEDH starts more at like 30-ish life, 32, with all like the fetches and all the Imperial Seals and all that stuff. So that's half of someone's life without even going to face. Dragon Lord Servant. All right, so this is like confirming that we have a dragon theme here. We see 2 dragons here. We have Dragon Lord Servant. It makes sense. Yeah. Okay, next. Dragon Speaker's Shaman. Cool. Dual Caster Mage. I expect to see a Twin Flame here, which is kind of funny because you could like technically just play a Themberchaud and then just like Twin Flame to deal even more damage, which is very, very funny. All right, Glorybringer, just another dragon. I actually like Glorybringer in general. It's like a cool card. You can like play it, attack, exert, and like pop a Crom for 5. Imperial Recruiter, okay. This finds our dockside. Wait a second. There ain't no dockside here. Okay, cool. Who needs a dockside? We do. It can find a Kedis though, so Kedis is neat. Whenever a commander you control deals combat damage, yeah. So I guess you just go in, swing for 5 face, and deal 5 more to like each other player. Pilgrim's Eye makes sense. You're trying to find more mountains. Whenever Scourge or another dragon enters battlefield under your control, deals X to where it's not X number of dragons. All right, so we're playing a bunch of dragons, is dealing damage. Shivan Devastator, ETB with X +1/+1 counters, flying haste. Like neat, like you can always spend it at any point in the game. Here's a Solemn Simulacrum. Yeah, sad robot in cEDH. Spawn of Thraxus, 7 mana. When enters battlefield, deals damage to target creature, player, number of mounts in control. Oh, so very similar to what Themberchaud is doing, except for 1 target. Stuffy Doll, right? Same thing as Brash Taunter. Torbran, there we go. All right, this is starting to make more sense. So Torbran's here to deal that much damage +2. I'm starting to see like the theme. And Treason's Ogre. All right, this makes sense. Let's keep going. Oh, you destroy 4 lands you control, then target opponent destroys 4 lands they control. That deals 4 damage to each creature for 6 mana. You destroy 4 lands you control. 4 lands. Okay. Well, I guess this is like something you play after you stick the dragon, and then you don't need your lands anymore, and then you like look at one player and you're like, hey, blue farm, Burning of Sinye. It's good. Cathartic Reunion, okay. Decree of Annihilation. You just exile. Oh, I'm dumb. We're doing it for the cycling. We're here to pop all the lands. All right. Yeah, we're just here to stick like a big creature or 2 and then pop all the lands and use the time that we get from popping all the lands and swinging face. There's a Faithless Looting for the anger. Here's a gamble, the 1 gamble to find whatever you need. Insult and Injury. This is kind of funny. This is a lot of mana. Insult would be 10 mana total, including Themberchaud. But It doesn't have to be Themberchaud. It could be anything. If a source you control would deal damage this turn, it could deal double that damage instead. So it's kind of neat because you could technically like play a bunch of dragons. Like let's say you curve out in this game of cEDH, where you go like turn 2, maybe. I don't know if it plays mana rocks. We're in uncharted territory. I don't know what we're expecting here. We play Torbran, or we play like Shivan Devastator, Torbran, and then like a Kedis or like a Glorybringer, and then the turn afterwards you play like Insult and Swing of Everything. That's like a lot of damage. So it's actually not that bad. Injury's like just free, so that makes sense. Ironcrag Feet lets you cheat in the Themberchaud on turn 4 or earlier. J-Will makes sense. Mana Geyser makes a lot of sense here. Mass Mutiny, wow. That's interesting. I would never imagine. If anyone plays stacks against this deck, like you lose. I think you just lose. I don't think you can actually beat this deck unless you happen to always have like Swords of Plowshares and stuff. This deck is here to beat stacks. Like, I don't know how it's going to stop Storm. Maybe that's someone else's problem, and I assume no one's going to touch the Themberchaud deck. But dang, like this deck got hands. Reckless Handing. Search your library for an artifact, put in your hand, shuffle, discard a card random, and if the artifact is discarded, deal to each opponent. Never seen this before. Interesting. Why don't we play this with Lion's Eye Diamond? Okay, Shatterhill Smashing makes sense. Tormenting Voice, okay. Twin Flame, yep. So we have at least one combo. One combo, one Imperial Recruiter, and one Gamble. But who needs those combos? We're here to go face. Vandal Blast, makes sense. Wildfire, of course. And Wheel of Fortune. Yeah. I think Wheel of Fortune's interesting in here because like most decks wouldn't play Wheel of Fortune unless if it like uses the wheel very well for itself. Like there are a lot of cEDH decks now who even have like red in their color identity, but they're like afraid of playing Wheel of Fortune because just like you wheel into like T&K or like Roxai and they use wheels real good. So you know what though? This is Themberchaud, right? Like we're not afraid of that stuff. You got a little kobold, who cares? I'm gonna get a grip full of dragons and costs. That's funny. All right, instants. Braid, yep. Chaos Warp, Deflecting Swat, Lightning Bolt, that's cool. Pyro, Red Blast, there we go. Let's blow up some Mystics. Reverberate, interesting. Scred, okay, well, we have snow-covered mountains. Thrill Possibility, that's it. I wonder if we want to play Bolt Bend in here. You know, cEDH staple, Bolt Bend, as another SWAT effect. Alright, artifacts. That's a Blackblade Reforged. And a Grafted Exoskeleton. I mean, like, these are neat. This one makes sense. We're trying to ramp. I haven't seen anything that really ramps the deck, aside from just, like, drawing and naturally playing the lands. Maybe there's, like, a... What's that Nissa sword? You know what I'm talking about. I'll throw it up on the screen. That one, like, maybe that I can imagine that being in this deck, but, you know, Blackblade Reforged reduces the clock pretty severely, so that makes sense. Grabbed Exoskeleton, same thing. There's never a way where this can snap to get the ATB effect. What a shame. Greaves, yep. Crypt, Vault, Mindstone, Nev Disc. There's a Nev Disc in here. Destroy all artifacts, creatures, and enchantments. You know, it kind of makes sense. It kind of like Nev Disc, it kind of makes sense here because like so far we have Mana Crypt and Mana Vault as our like means to accelerate, and I assume there's a Soul Ring down there too. So everyone else is like throwing down all their rocks and all their things, and basically you could just theoretically vault into a disc and hold up the disc, and everyone's afraid of playing. So that's actually kind of neat. The Nev Disc is like kind of neat. I almost feel like this deck needs like a Manifold Key or something, because Manifold Key, I think, allows a creature to be unblockable. I think I might be lying. But at least like you can untap the Manifold or untap like the disc or your like Mana Crypt and then use it to like play your dragon. But you can then disc immediately. Panharmonicon. There's a Panharmonicon in this deck, but there's no Dockside. Ruby Medallion, this makes sense. Shrine of Burning Rage, wow. So you know what this does? Whenever you cast a red spell, you put a charge counter on it, then you can crack this for 3 mana and deals damage equal to number of charge counters to target creature or player. I guess like you just put enough charge counters on it, like 3, then like you combo with like a Torbran or like a, what is it? The Insult, and like that deals, you know, a pretty big chunk of damage for 3 mana. Soul Ring makes sense. Staff of Nin. Yeah, I mean, why not? Wayfarer's Bauble. I actually really like that plays Wayfarer's Bauble. Blood Moon. Okay, Dictate the Twin Gods. I'm sorry to pick up what's happening here. Sarkhan's Unsealing. Whenever you cast a creature spell, deals 4 damage to any target. When you cast a creature spell, power 7 or greater. Sarkhan's Unsealing deals 4 damage to each opponent, each creature and planeswalker they control. That's neat. So comboed with a Themberchaud, this is like 10-ish damage. Like, this is killing everything except for Themberchaud, which is kind of sick. Sulfuric Vortex. Okay. I actually kind of like Sulfuric Vortex here because this represents 6 damage per cycle, like 2/2/2. It hits you as well, but it deals 6 damage. So as time continues, you know, this will pay back a lot. And with things like Dictate of the Twin Gods and Torbran, sure. There and back again. Up to target. Yeah. This is the thing that just flips into Smaug. Oh, it also ramps. Vance's Blasting Cannons. At beginning of upkeep, exile top card. If it's a non-land card, you may do it. If you play a 3rd spell per turn, somehow, you flips and it adds mana or deals damage. Okay. Visions of Phyrexia, same thing, but it creates a Power Stone. And the Power Stone doesn't do anything. Well, Power Stone can be used for Shrine of Burning Rage. Oh, and the equipment too. Okay. Alright. The Lance. Yep, this all makes sense. There's a Murex. Why? I guess he might as well, right? Why wouldn't you play a Murex? Yeah, I guess if it's just like 24 snow-covered mountains, you might as well make some mites. Throne the High City. You can also become the Monarch. Well, that's the deck. Thanks for experiencing this with me. And, how? Okay. Next time, we're gonna go try and find the deck designer and ask them more about the deck. But thanks for watching. Bye!